This is the evening news for Monday, August 4, 2014. I am Ruben Stoby. Thanks for joining us. Making the headlines tonight, 19 NOC students charged after escaping last week. Police hunt for shooter in 2 incidents. PPPC accuses Stabroek News of pursuing opposition agenda. Father of 5 dies after accident at number 11 village. Courts Essequibo manager dies after Sunday crash. McAllister urges PNC to stop rigging elections, and massive cleanup campaign on the way in Alboystown. Now for the news in detail. Some 19 students from the New Opportunity Corps were charged and placed before the courts earlier today after they had escaped last Wednesday. More details in this report.
19 students from the New Opportunity Corps were charged and placed before the Charity Magistrates Court after they escaped from the facility and were engaged in a series of delinquent activities. The matter was heard in camera by Magistrates Sunil Scarce on Monday. According to reports, the students escaped on July 30 and were recaptured over the weekend. The Evening News understands that the children wandered off in the backlands of the Umdeniman sandpit. They were recaptured over the weekend by officials from the New Opportunity Corps and the police. In addition to the escaping charges, the students were charged for damage to property. Reports reaching this newscast revealed that the children were roaming aimlessly around various communities, damaging persons' property. An official attached to the NOC disclosed that the facility does not have a proper fencing at the back, which he believes aided the students' escape. The insider noted that on the day of the escape, the children had gone for a stroll about the facility. Some of the students were recaptured at Little Red Village and in the dense forest of Underneming. The parents of the students were informed of their escape and recapture.
The police of C Division are working on the theory that the man who shot and injured 2 persons during a foiled robbery in a Pleasance minibus a few days ago might be the same person involved in the robbery committed on an Edward B.B. Harry sales supervisor in June, which left him hospitalized. The suspect, whose name was given as Sheldon Benjamin, is still at large, but police ranks are optimistic that they will apprehend and prosecute him for 2 incidents. A source told this newscast that the police are working with several leads, and once the suspect is located, he will be slapped with other charges. The rank said that he is deemed armed and dangerous and warned citizens to be vigilant when conducting their businesses. In June, Mahindra Prasad, 49 of Diamond New Housing Scheme East Bank Demerara, a senior salesman attached to Edward B.B. Harry and Company Limited, was shot during a robbery, after which the perpetrator escaped with $100,000. The Stabroek News is now being labelled as the opposition media following its coverage on the delay in holding the overdue local government elections. More on this story.
People's Progressive Party Civic General Secretary Clement Rohi today said that the party strongly condemns the attempts by the Stabroek News to spread misinformation on the non-holding of the elections, which should have been held in 1997. According to him, the newspapers attempt to sully the image of the government by continually printing comments by the opposition, suggests that it is pursuing a hard-lined political agenda against the government.
The PPP is of the firm view that the Stabroek News is in serious breach of the journalistic ethics governing the industry by adopting an outright biased position, thus placing the newspaper objectively on the side of the political opposition. It's for this reason that we believe that the classification of the newspaper as an opposition media is justified, as it continues to neglect and downplay the government's explanations as to why these elections have not been held and why they cannot be held, why they cannot be called with haste.
But Rohi said that blame should not be laid at the foot of the party because it is not responsible for the underlying problems faced by the electoral body. He retraced the events of the postponement of local government elections in 1997, which was done to facilitate the holding of general elections. According to him, the opposition took to the street in a massive protest after the general election, after which an accord was introduced which laid the basis for a constitutional reform.
Within that reform process, the question of local government reform was undertaken before local government elections could be held. It is to be recalled that a local government task force was established between 2001 and 2008 of a bipartisan nature, and they were tasked with the responsibility of providing new laws for the holding of local government elections.
Local government election was last held in Guyana in 1994. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
A father of 5 was on Sunday evening killed while another man is hospitalized after the motorcycle on which they were traveling slammed into a motor car at number 11 Village, West Coast, Berbice. Dead is Eson Rich, 39 of Lot 65, Litchfield, West Coast, Berbice. The injured man has been identified as Clifford McCalmon, 23, also of Litchfield. He is presently a patient at the Georgetown Public Hospital suffering from lacerations to his head and other parts of his body. According to information reaching this newscast, the now dead man and McCalmon were heading home from number 5 Village, and as they drove along the number 11 public road, they came into contact with a car that came out of a street. After the collision, Rich reportedly received injuries and died on the spot. He, along with the injured man, was taken to the Fort Wellington Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. McCalmon was treated, and due to the extent of his injuries, he was transferred to the GPH for further treatment. Residents of Alboystown are playing an integral role in ensuring that their community remains clean as the multi-million dollar cleanup campaign gets underway. More in this report.
Residents of Alboystown have been enlisted and today began their part of the citywide cleanup campaign that is currently ongoing. The community cleanup will be divided into 3 groups headed by members of the Alboystown Committee Board, namely Mr. Boswick, Mr. James, and Miss Can, and will cater to all 15 blocks of the community. Each group will work with a total of 10 workers, and the project is expected to last 6 weeks. Residents of the community stated that they are very grateful for this initiative to help better their lives. Some stated that the cleanup will assist in the easing of the mosquitoes that are present in the community. They hope that other community members will help to keep their surroundings clean when the project is complete. The workers for the project also expressed gratitude for being granted a job opportunity that will lead to the betterment of the community. The Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Norman Whitaker, along with the Ministry of Finance, to clean up Georgetown and its surrounding, launched a $1 billion cleanup project around mid-June. For the Evening News, Jalicia Pinder.
Chandani Das, who was involved in a horrific accident on the Essequibo coast Saturday night, succumbed to her injuries early Monday morning at the Georgetown Public Hospital. The 32-year-old of La Union Village on Essequibo coast was air-dashed to Georgetown Public Hospital following the accident at Annandale Public Road. Das had sustained extensive spinal injuries and other injuries about her body. Although doctors desperately tried to save her, the injuries she sustained took her life. Das was driving PSS 3067 Saturday night, heading south on the Annandale Public Road when she collided with motorcar PRR 9027. In fact, that's motorvan PRR 9027, driven by Nicholas Singh. The court's manager was heading from a wedding reception when she met in the accident. She was accompanied by Punai Das. Punai Das is presently in the intensive care unit at Saudi Public Hospital, clinging for life. Both girls were pinned down after the accident. They were rushed to the Saudi Public Hospital by residents from the community. Chandani Das was described as a very hard-working and determined young lady. Meanwhile, 8 persons remain at Saudi Public Hospital following the same accident, including the driver. Presently at the hospital are Kevin Kumar, Shane Kumar, Lyndon Marks, Krishna Ramsamuj, and Anthony Haynes. If you have a news tip or news story you would like our news team to follow, message us or WhatsApp. Telephone number 592-680-9630. That's 592-680-9630. Or you can call us at our office 231-0382 or 226-2102, 223-7230 or 223-7231. Stay tuned to the Evening News. Thanks for staying tuned. Bubbler or Bang, who was on the run since Saturday evening after fatally stabbing Wayne Johnson at Itibali Landing, Region 7, was this morning arrested by ranks of the Barteka police station. The suspect is being questioned at the said police station and is expected to be charged with the capital offense of murder by the end of the week. Based on reports gathered, police ranks received a tip-off that the suspect, whose name was given as Andrew, was hiding in the area. They also received information that his wife was making sure that he was fed properly. Police followed the woman and arrested the man as he came out to collect food. It is not clear whether or not the woman will be charged for harboring a criminal. However, a post-mortem performed on the remains of Johnson gave the cause of death as perforation to the head due to a single stab wound. The autopsy was performed by Dr. Nihal Singh at the Georgetown Public Hospital this morning. In this story, you will hear that there are hundreds of Guyanese who are moving around with false identification material, including birth certificates. Alexis Rodney has details.
Minister of Home Affairs and General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, Clement Rohi, said many persons will go outside of the processes of the General Registrations Office to obtain birth certificates for various reasons. His comments came as questions were posed about his ministry's decision to revamp the requirements for the obtaining of the machine-readable passport. Rohi said the idea behind the new passport was to ensure its validity. However, there is little that can be done at this point.
If I've stolen someone's identity by inserting a wrong birth date, a wrong place of birth, a wrong mother, this is the thing, the four factors: place of birth, date of birth, mother, and father. People change place of birth. People change. I don't mean they change it because they've moved. I mean they change it because they want something to happen with that as a result of that wrong information birth certificate. So they insert a different name change. I mean they insert a different name, a mother's name, father's name, place of birth, and date of birth. Those are the four key pieces of information in any birth certificate.
Under the issue of the squashing of the birth certificate requirement, the Home Affairs Minister said that the ministry had decided to shift from the 6 months to 2 years in an effort to appease the public, which it said was finding it difficult to comply.
Having put out the 6-month timeline, we saw the response from the public. We didn't consult with the public before we put out the 6-month timeline. Right? So we put out the 6-month timeline, we got a response, we assessed that response, and then we decided to move to 2 years because the GRO felt that 2 years would take the pressure off of them because their system is clean up to a particular point in time. And so we went with that. Additionally, the police felt that that was a good move as well. All these persons are usually consulted. I have 3 C's that I usually adhere to in making ministerial decisions: consultation, coordination, and communication.
The Ministry of Home Affairs had announced last month that first-time applicants for the new passports were expected to present a birth certificate that was obtained no more than 6 months prior to the date of the application. However, that new rule had spurred endless criticisms from the general public. And although the requirement was changed from 6 months to 2 years, criticisms continued to mount. The Ministry of Home Affairs had outlined that the requirement was for integrity purposes, which was necessary to enable Guyana to comply with the international best practices and prevent illegal use of travel documents. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
Former People's National Congress Reform PNCR executive member and parliamentarian James McAllister said that the party needs to put systems in place that would see an end to the continued rigging of its internal leadership elections. Alexis Rodney reports.
McAllister expressed concerns over the impact of the party's 18th Biennial Congress, which ended amid gunshots, chaos and bitter divisions late last month. Speaking to the Evening News during an exclusive interview, McAllister, who resides overseas, said the process and system for electing party office bearers remain unfair and biased. He said there is an urgent need for the party to look at reforming how it conducts its elections so as to strengthen its viability and democracy. He asserted that the problem lies with the constitution of the party, which is premised on there being a maximum leader that oversees the process and ensures fairness. He also recommended that on the day that membership closes, the Secretariat must provide the committee with the membership broken down by groups across the country. He said the Secretariat should not make changes to the declared numbers for the purpose of the elections unless approved by the Accreditation Committee. McAllister strongly believes too that the Secretariat must produce to the committee the financials showing that all memberships were paid for. He said he made those recommendations back in 2004 when he was a member of the Accreditation Committee to the People's National Congress Reform. McAllister said he was thrown out of the PNCR after he teamed with Vincent Alexander to fight to remove Corbyn from the helm of the party back in 2007. He recalled the team being taken before a disciplinary committee and charged with several offences. He said that the African Culture and Development Association, AGDA, had intervened and the charges were dropped against the team, but Corbyn was out to have his head. He said he was made to face trumped-up charges and was suspended as well as recalled from the National Assembly. Asked if he would return, he said that he believes in speaking freely in and out of the party, and his understanding is that the party's pledge debars that. The PNCR had come under severe criticisms at its last Congress for its alleged internal rigging of elections. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic, Clement Rohi, says he has no optimism that the controversial anti-money laundering bill will be passed by the end of this year. Here are details.
The party's General Secretary at its weekly press conference on Monday told reporters that the parliamentary opposition continues to throw gauntlets at the matter, and he is sure that the bill will not be passed before the end of the year.
They're using that bill as a negotiating, as a bargaining chip, which we totally reject.
Asked what methods will be used by the PPP to address the situation, Rohi informed the media that it will use both parliamentary and extra-parliamentary struggles.
Parliamentary struggle means fighting tooth and nail in the parliament, exposing the opposition in the parliament, putting motions and bills that makes it difficult for the opposition to reject. Extra parliamentary struggle means walking among the people, walking in the streets, the villages and the towns, mobilizing our supporters, non-supporters, friends and well-wishers, to sensitize them with respect to our positions, not only in the parliament, but outside of the parliament.
Presidential Advisor on Governance Gail Teixeira had said that it will be good if Guyana could pass the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill before the Financial Action Task Force meets again in October. However, Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh had said that a passage of the bill in the National Assembly will not suffice to undo the damage already done to the image of the country and the integrity of its financial system internationally. FATF, at its last meeting in June, had accepted the referral of Guyana from its regional watchdog, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, and was expected to undertake a review of Guyana, the results of which will be presented at its October meeting. Reporting for the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
A 6-member medical corps team partnered with students of the University of Guyana's Social Work Unit to bring medical services to residents of Plaisance in the compound of the Plaisance Seventh-day Adventist Church. In a release, the Guyana Defence Force, GDF, said the students are members of the Social Work Theory and Practice course on UG's Diploma in Social Work program. Student and group leader Ms. Carol Harding heaped praise on the members of the GDF team, saying they dispensed their duties very professionally. During the random blood sugar testing, they demonstrated that uniformed personnel could be warm and caring by helping several persons to be calm and allaying their fears. Stay tuned to the Evening News. Thanks for staying tuned. The 27-year-old Guyanese mother of 4 who was allegedly killed by her landlady was stabbed more than 40 times before being dismembered and decapitated, a New York court heard on Friday. Assistant District Attorney Robert Biancavilla said there were wounds to the neck and the torso, which adds up to about 40 stabs in addition to the dismemberment. A local news agency reported that after court, the district attorney said he could not remember a more gruesome case where over the period of 12 days, Chanel Latoya Brown's body was found literally in pieces across Nassau and Suffolk counties. Leah Cueva's attorney entered a not guilty plea, where she was held without bail. She was reportedly charged with second-degree murder. A father of 2 was killed in a senseless murder last evening after he got into an argument with another man who was urinating on his minibus. Here are the details.
31-year-old Gavin Fife, a bus driver, was on a Thursday evening stabbed to death at the East Coast Amarara bus park. He was stabbed with a homemade weapon after he was engaged in an exchange of words with another man. The assailant, who is yet to be identified, was reportedly urinating on the minibus Fife operates when he was asked to stop doing so. However, the man refused to comply and an argument ensued. It was during the argument that Fife was stabbed several times to his chest. Stacey James, the mother of the man's child, said that she was at home when she got the dreadful news. She explained that she was initially told that Fife was stabbed and was at the hospital. It was not until she arrived at the medical institution that doctors told her of his demise.
I reached home and the cousin auntie phone and the cousin tell me, I said Keisha will Gavin there. She tell me Gavin and somebody after Gavin walking and the bus in the line and somebody on half no East Coast car park was full up and then people was coming to and Papa forget bus to go up the East Coast and if he got Pleasant and then people waiting on the bus and somebody went stand up there and he gonna start urinating on the bus and he tell the boy he can't urinate on the bus and in the boy and some argue and the boy pull out some knife or some ice pick on the waist and start choking up.
Meanwhile, the man's mother, Patrice, said indeed her son was a very hard-working man. She explained that Fife was her only son and will rarely go out of his way to pick trouble. The bereaved mother contends that the young man always placed his family's interest above his own.
I just got to understand that the police, I know the police name, but the police had on a sharp one, so he pull out a gun, he named Light, the police named Light. He go over to the boy would stab me son and he take out the gun and hold the boy in the hand and tell the boy, I know you why you Gavin in this thing and he allowed the man for go long way. Why you didn't arrest the man? This is my only child. You understand? And this is unfair. He's a police, even if he ain't plain clothes or not. He had the man in the hand and he make the man go away, lose the man for go away. The police, the same police Light know who is the boy. I want justice for me, some kind of thing I'm going like that. This is my only child.
For the evening news, Alexis Rodney.
Youths on the Essequibo coast were today urged to think positive and always keep God in their hearts, as these would help to stem the rise in suicide in the region. Speaking at the Essequibo Dharmic Sabha summer camp held at the Affiance Vishnu Mandir, Vice President of the Essequibo Coast, Parmanand Singh, urged the youths to think positively and educate themselves on ways of solving problems, including suicide. Singh said taking one's life is not the way out to escape problems. He said the Almighty has given life to people who do good, and not to harm themselves. He told the youths to relate their problems to someone they trust so that they can be properly advised. In this report, you will hear that many questions had surfaced after a radio broadcast about Dr. Walter Rodney's death. Renowned Catholic priest and educator Father Malcolm Rodrigues told the Commission of Inquiry today that there was something amiss about the report since it described particulars that were far from the truth. More from Alexis Rodney.
Father Rodrigues told the commission that it appeared as though the radio report, which he heard at 6 the morning after Dr. Rodney's death, was written before the explosion, suggesting that his death was indeed planned. According to him, the report read that police were still trying to identify the body of the victim since his face was damaged beyond recognition. But Father Rodrigues said that his curiosity piqued when he visited the morgue a few minutes later and found that Rodney's face was not disfigured as was reported. On the evening of Friday, June 13, 1980, Ridgwick said he was at church when he received news that Dr. Rodney had died in an explosion. He said he was asked to take care of the historian's wife and children. Ridgwick told the commissioner that he had become a close friend to the Rodney family and had spent the night at the home, as Rodney's widow Patricia was too distraught and the children perplexed. The grief counselor told the commissioner that Dr. Rodney's home was visited by police officers who said that they were looking for clues, however none was found. He informed the commission too of the visit by the members of the United States Embassy who came to express condolences to the family. But questions were posed, seeking to ascertain whether that visit was an indication that the U.S. intelligence was rather seeking to confirm Rodney's death. He could not say. On June 13, 1980, a bomb planted in a walkie-talkie exploded under the lap of Dr. Walter Rodney as he sat in his brother's car outside the Georgetown prison. The device was reportedly given to him by an Army Sergeant William Gregory Smith, who reports say had been used by the PNC government to assassinate its main political opponent. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
A popular mechanic was on Thursday evening killed after he lost control of the vehicle he was driving and ended up into a trench at 8th Street Seafield, Sophia, Greater Georgetown. Relatives believe that George De Mora, 53 of Lot 159C Waterloo Street, Georgetown, might have suffered a cardiac arrest, resulting in him losing control of the motor car. He was pulled from the wreckage and rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. According to information received, Pottigy George, a name that he is commonly called, and another occupant of the car were driving along the Sophia Access Road when he suddenly held onto his chest, wailing in pain. Within minutes, the car ended up into the trench. At the home of the dead man, relatives gathered to express their sympathy to the immediate family, but his spouse, Lillian De Mora, was not at home. She was reportedly at the Turkine police station inquiring more about the incident. Stay tuned to the Evening News. We return with news from the region. Tropical storm Bertha was moving away from the Bahamas on Monday, and it could become a hurricane as it turns towards Bermuda. There were no immediate reports of damage or deaths caused by the storm that drenched the country with showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. Already, Bermuda is urging its citizens to prepare for the storm as it moves closer to the island. Internationally, Israel's Prime Minister has vowed the campaign in Gaza will continue until quiet and security are returned to the citizens of Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement after Israel's 7-hour humanitarian window for parts of Gaza closed. The truce slowed violence in Gaza, although Palestinians said Israel broke it by hitting a house in Gaza City. 2 attacks on Israelis were reported in Jerusalem, and Israel said militant rocket fire from Gaza had continued. Health officials in Gaza say 1,868 Palestinians, most of them civilians, have been killed and some 9,470 injured since the conflict began nearly 4 weeks ago. 67 Israelis have died, all but 3 of them soldiers. Now time for the bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed from 11:30 hours on Tuesday, August 5, 2014 for a period of 1.5 hours. The Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed from 10:40 hours on Tuesday, August 5, 2014 for a period of 1.5 hours. Stay tuned, this sports news is next.